hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Steve just shot a video about the preview.
It deserved it.
Preview for the Western Conference Finals for SDPN, in which I would say he self-aggrandized just a little bit.
Yeah?
Just a little bit. Just said how correct and perfect his picks were.
They haven't been.
That's just pointing out facts. No.
They haven't been, though. You're right, Jesse.
You know what? The only things I've gotten wrong are the things I agreed with you on.
Oh, which ones are those?
The Hurricanes losing to the Islanders.
Oh, that was bad, guys.
Dumbass. And what was the other one? Avs losing to the Jets.
Yeah.
Dumbass!
Those are the only two series you've gotten wrong?
No, probably not. I don't know. I haven't checked. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I've had a bad. I should say I've had a bad bracket. I had a bad first round, and once you have a bad first round, you're kind of screwed along the way. But my Stanley Cup final is still alive.
That's crazy.
Which is like fingers crossed.
And yours is what? New York, Dallas?
I got New York, Edmonton.
New York, Edmonton.
Steve has New York, Dallas.
I have New York.
Adam had Toronto,
Edmonton.
Edmonton. Okay.
Yeah, so half of it's still alive.
No, so somebody here is going to be sitting here in 2 weeks' time with a correct finals pick. At least one.
It won't be me, but I'll say this. If I get Edmonton
You don't
in
think
there,
it's going to be you?
well, because I picked Toronto, right?
No, but I mean like at least one finals pick is
Oh,
going to be
yeah.
correct. You know?
Yeah, I'll feel good about that. I feel good about that. That would be cool. I wanted an all-Canadian final. And as I said, I have a rule. You can't bet against the Leafs. It's bad karma. Maybe I should bet against the Leafs because clearly betting for them isn't working.
I messed up. In the video, I said I got the whole Final Four right. I was wrong. I thought Boston would get revenge on Florida, which they did not. Yeah, they didn't. They lost.
I love that he double-checked it, too.
I double-checked. And I shouldn't have. I should have just been right.
So we've got some stuff to do today that is, we kind of talked about the previews yesterday for the series. So if you want to watch those, you can check them out. Steve did a video last night about Craig Berube and his press conference, which we can get into in a bit,
and also a little Marner tea.
And we're gonna go a little heavy into the press conference today because there hasn't been a couple games in a couple days, and everybody's kind of got to etch-a-sketch their brain, shake it. But I think the first thing I want to say is quickly that Steve will be streaming tonight and every night for the Eastern Conference Final. I'll be doing the Western Conference Final, and this weekend. On Saturday morning, if you're not doing anything, Tim and I are logging on at 9:30 in the morning, and we are doing qualifying for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Ooh. Nice.
Yes, which is the best Grand Prix on the calendar if you like everything else other than the racing.
And
it's the worst race of the
go.
year.
Yeah. I was about to say, where are you going with this sentence?
Good qualifying, terrible race.
In non-streaming news, Jesse will be hosting the CJ show.
Hey!
Will I? That hasn't been confirmed at all.
I thought it was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, my bad.
I don't know. If that's
He's not
confirmed.
sure.
We can't. I'm pregame streaming Steve's streams. You forgot those streams
Right.
in there.
Now, what are you doing this? Are you continuing with
Sorry,
what you were
man,
doing in the
I
first
thought
round?
Yeah. One since 67. Our quest to win one Stanley Cup since 1967. I took a break from the second round because I had to stream Rangers Hurricanes, so we'll be back. We're on episode 9 coming up. We're in the second round now. We swept the first round.
Hey.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay.
So we'll see what we do.
I like it. All right. So I guess my first thing to you guys is I want to ask about this. The greatest panel show in sports, at least North American sports, might be broken up after this next season. Inside the NBA.
Which one of you guys is leaving?
Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, and Shaq, because Amazon has bought the rights to the NBA for that particular night. TNT will no longer be a part of it.
NBC.
Oh, sorry. Amazon bought a package too,
Amazon, right? Disney, and NBC.
That's
but the NBC package is the one that's really stealing the TNT Warner Brothers.
How do we feel about this? Because it looks like one of them has already said, I'm staying with TNT. And I don't know how he could do that
Which
with no
one
basketball.
is that?
I didn't. I'll have to look that up.
Ernie Johnson has a contract that is with Warner Brothers, so he doesn't have the freedom to leave. Is what's happening there with TNT. That's why everybody's being like it's breaking up, because the three of them the three ex-NBA players who are just more the panelists, but Ernie as the host is tied to Warner Brothers.
Okay.
So that's why he's kind of going to have to probably remain at Turner while the three of them just go on to do it for NBC or Amazon or ESPN or some other platform.
Have you considered that Amazon is an infinite money monster?
Yes.
And could, in theory, just
By the man.
money their way into getting them?
That's why I think the whole death of the show is a little premature.
Is it? Okay.
We have another year to go, first of all. Like, Turner isn't losing the rights starting next season, so you got a full year to figure out who can just purchase the four of them and bring them over somewhere. Like, I'm sure you can get Ernie out of his contract. He's the only one that doesn't have a stipulation that he can leave.
People are doom and glooming this too fast. One, because it doesn't necessarily mean the show is going to break up. Two, a year of Charles Barkley with even fewer fucks to give. I think you are all missing the point.
Yeah.
This dude is already talking about, like, yeah, we're not going to be here next year. And, like, the stuff he says where I'm like, is this it? Nope, still a job. He still has a job. All right.
Yeah.
And
the
now
thing.
it's going to be a year where he doesn't give a shit.
When you have
Come on.
fuck around money, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And what are they going to do? Do it without him? They can't do it without him.
Can't do it without him. I've seen them do it without him. Every time I see that show, but one of the guys is missing, I'm like, boo.
Yeah, it's honestly
I boo my computer.
the foursome of they're perfect. They're absolutely perfect.
Oh, they're excellent.
It made me think though of Monday nights next year with Amazon here in Canada, and I don't know as a part of the Sportsnet deal if the Sportsnet personalities get ported over, or if they completely start fresh and bring in their own people.
Zero idea.
Not heard a single thing about it.
Zero idea. I mean, it'd be cool to pump some money into Canadian media and maybe get some new jobs, and I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's I gotta practice what I preach from the New Year's episode.
Which is?
I think, what was it? Hot Take a Palooza.
Yeah.
It was. It's okay to be optimistic.
Yeah, it is okay to be optimistic.
It's okay to be optimistic. And I say that as someone with raging pessimism for a lot of things. But yeah, I hope it ends up being a good thing.
Well, okay, let's take your optimism and let's apply it to Craig Berube, guys. Obviously, after the show yesterday, or when we started the show, we had just seen the Berube press conference. We've all had the chance to watch clips of it, and we watched it a little bit together as well. I didn't take much from it except for the fact that Craig Berube did not smile once.
Good.
Did not smile once. He just kind of stared. And he's got really high cheekbones.
He-
And very intimidating.
Yeah, he's got the enforcer stare.
Yes.
He's got the enforcer stare. And anyone who has ever met an NHL enforcer in person knows about it.
There's an intimidation there that you just feel.
I've met Mark Savard. I've met Jason York.
You met Rich Clune.
I've met. Well, wait a second. I've met Mark Savard. I've met Colby Armstrong, Jason York. I'm trying to think of like all the former players I've spoken to. They don't have it. They had other things that guys didn't have, but they don't have it. Bob McGill, I worked with him. He's fucking terrifying.
He's selling real estate now.
Nick Kiprios.
And I can't believe that guy. Just for hang on a second.
Yeah,
Bob
sure.
McGill is doing quite well as an agent as well in cottage country because I pass him on my way to my wife's family's cottage, and he's on the thing, and I'm like, he's smiling there, and he looks all warm and friendly. But I have met him.
He does like a
And he-
cottage volleyball tournament every year.
Yeah,
I have friends who have gone. Yeah.
but he's like, yeah, scary.
No, and it's just a look. It's just like the look he has suggests during an apocalypse, he'd be the first to suggest cannibalism.
He's the most pragmatic.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, we
What if
could
Bob sees this, by the way?
we could I don't care. Like listen, he's a nice guy.
A really nice
Bob,
guy.
you're a great guy.
And definitely buy a house from him.
Definitely
Or
buy a
cottage.
house from him. No, it's a look.
Okay.
It's a look. He there's this story where there was a player who had a real good chance of making the Leafs. And Bob gave him advice, and he's like, listen, you're a really talented guy. You're not in good enough shape. Like, you need to, this summer, hit the gym hard. And what does this guy do? He signs with it was a dumb team to sign with. And if you go and look at his career, it ended up being a mistake. And the story goes, that guy was in town visiting, with the minor league affiliate because he wasn't in the NHL and he should have been. Bob just grabbed him by the arm and goes, "How you doing?" Like, grabs him by his like flabby arm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just they have it. Kipper
Has it.
You've spoken to Kipper.
Yep.
And he knows how to turn it
be
off.
on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he knows how to turn it off. Fuck.
Get him fired up.
Every now and then you see the back of his skull through his eyes.
We were all three of us were there with Darcy Tucker was on the bus at an Air Canada thing we were doing after a Boston game, and he was fired up.
I'm going to say he doesn't have it.
What? You're out of your mind.
No, he has something else. He doesn't have the Berube stare, the McGill stare, Kipper, Ty Domi.
Has the stare.
Holy shit.
Has the stare.
Terrifying. That dude who tapped him,
Oh.
fucking idiot, like in the stands.
Oh my God.
No, Tucker has
you're right.
has screw loose stare. He doesn't have that. Darcy Tucker didn't eat people for a living for his NHL career. He was feisty. He's like honey badger energy.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
I can see that.
But we're talking about like apex predator.
When you brought up the
terrifying.
Ty Domi, like
the tap,
the tap from the fan after Max Domi scored in the playoffs, oh my God.
you were there when I met him.
Yeah.
What, Ty Domi, you introduced, you're like, Ty, this is in the fucking looky game. I told you as soon as he left. I was like, what the fuck was
He's
that?
very friendly. He's a very friendly guy.
Yeah,
Like,
but
one of the nicest guys.
Before he smiled, it's like there's this Denzel Washington clip where he's deadpan and then he smiles. He did that to me. And for that split second, I'm like, well, had a good run. Had a good run. I thought I just said hello and was polite, but had a good run.
So Berube has that. And you know what we
Berube on accountability from the press conference?
Yeah, give it to
Yeah.
us.
All right.
Give me accountability.
One of the hallmarks of your coaching ability seems to be your ability to hold players accountable, but to do it in a constructive fashion. How have you determined is the best way to hold players accountable, but keep everybody moving in a positive direction while doing so?
Well, first, to hold players accountable and for players to understand the accountability, you have to form a partnership throughout. I think it starts in the summertime, getting to know these players, them getting to understand what I'm all about and how I'm going to coach and how I'm going to coach each individual and the team. And, so then when you have to hold a player accountable for whatever, and it could be ice time, it could be whatever the situation is, they understand it more. And communication is huge. And I think one of my strengths is I'm a great communicator with my players. They know where they stand. I'm going to tell them when they're playing well. I'm going to tell them when they're not playing well. I'm going to tell them if things that need to be improved upon. There's all types of things. So accountability is accepted almost by your players when you have that partnership.
Do you see the look though? You see what I mean?
Oh, I see it.
It's a different vibe than Sheldon Keefe. That's for sure.
What does it feel like to you?
It feels like more old school. Like I've been here before. I'm not here to learn anything. I know kind of what I'm doing. I'm just gonna step into this and just do what I've done. Is kind of the vibe you're getting.
Here, you're never gonna watch a Sheldon Keefe clip the same way again. Go watch like the Amazon doc. Go watch like the pregame thing. This isn't a criticism of Sheldon Keefe, but when he asked things of his team, he was pleading. He was asking them. You know what I mean? Guys, I need you to do. Come on. I don't think Craig Berube has ever said that. I think you do it or you don't. I think you do it or you're out of the fucking lineup. You're out of a job. You're back in the minors. You're whatever. You're out of town. You don't play for his team.
Well,
your minutes are going to suck.
So I was going to ask you guys about this, and this seems like a more philosophical question, but does the manner in which a coach enters as the coach of a team matter in response to how players see them? And what I mean by that is So when Babs was fired midseason, 20 games in or whatever it was, okay?
Yeah.
And Sheldon comes in, the whole thing was Sheldon needed to pick up the pieces because Babs had shattered the confidence of the team.
Good cop.
Good cop. Then he gets them in training camp the next year, and obviously he takes over in like the COVID year. It's not great, like whatever, and they lost to Columbus, whatever.
It was difficult.
It's difficult. And Sheldon did have some sort of difficult things. Do you feel like, and I read this in an article the other day, which is what's triggering this question. I forget who had it, but what the author said, and I think they were right on this, and I've never thought about it this way, is they said when Mike Babcock was replaced, the Leafs simply promoted from within. Mm-hmm. This time, at least, they spoke to some people. And it's
9. What did
9? They said there were
say?
9 people they put into calls with. I'm like, who are these 9 people?
But he said like in the neighborhood of 9 or something like that. I was like,
so it's 9.
You mean in the neighborhood of 10 or like, or was it 9 or what are you talking about?
Yeah, and the reason I asked that is, that Jumbo Joe as a Leaf clip making the rounds, like lay off us, we're in first place, which is a loser mentality. And watching that clip in retrospect, it really pisses me off. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a human being, and I want this team to win, and that's crap.
It was the exact opposite of what that team needed to hear.
Absolutely. But I wondered when I thought about it, you guys, like Berube comes in, Stanley Cup, whatever, but he came in because the organization said we want that guy. Not because we've seen that guy have success at other levels. And this is not to take away from Sheldon, but it seems to be more like this is definitive culture change.
Sheldon was what they needed at the time. He was.
They need a good cop. And they
this,
also needed a good coach, and he is.
Yeah, and like this is why I don't think he needs to be a bad coach for him to get fired. I don't think he needs to be a bad coach and no longer be the coach of the Leafs. He did what he was supposed to do. The team didn't. He did. I think he upheld his end of the bargain. And now Berube's come in for a different flavor.
And Shanahan, no, it was Treliving who kind of said as much when people were pushing back on, hey, Berube is going to be this accountability guy. And that was the buzzword of the whole press conference. But Treliving pushed back and he's like, okay, I know we're bringing in Berube for this message and to get guys to get their head in the game, but that doesn't mean Sheldon Keefe wasn't trying to do that already. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes you need a new deliverer of the message. Mm-hmm. And I find that works consistently throughout hockey. Mm-hmm. It might be the exact same message. It might be couched a little differently, but just having a different voice in the room, have that message said to your players is going to change it. Eventually you tune out these guys. And I think it got to a point where Sheldon Keefe had no effect on the players. And just having somebody in there saying maybe it's the same thing, but in a different tone, in a different voice, there's going to be guys who look at that differently and react to it differently.
I kind of think of like teachers, like there's always different vibes to a teacher, especially the older you get in high school, and there's the fun one. And then there's the shut the fuck up, Steve one, which, I was familiar with. And sometimes a teacher tells you that, and you take it or leave it. If you respect them, you shut up. But there are no bad kids in Craig Berube's class.
Some teachers, they say it, and you shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there's no bad kids in his class.
Yeah. If it's English class, then fuck it. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't know why every English teacher in the history of mankind has been super lax. And you can get away with everything.
Yeah,
that's what I found.
True. I had one in grade 7 who really set me straight. But other than that, Miss Lindsay, I'll never forget it.
Okay.
I had the best grades in her class because I was afraid. I was terrified. I remember the same thing in college. The one year that I actually went, the teacher that freaked me out the most was a guy named Paul Cross, who was like a news hound, like hardened news veteran. In radio, like radio news when it really mattered.
Paul Cross doesn't sound like a stand-up comic.
No, he looked like Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, and I was terrified of him, and I got a 92 in news.
Paul Cross sounds like...
Best grade.
He sounds like the head of a police union.
But sometimes you need to you got to have the guy that is a little bit of that. I don't know. Is he going to intimidate the Leafs into winning? I feel like that seems like
you don't intimidate the guys you're coaching.
That's what I mean. So what is it about this? And that's why I asked you, Jesse, about what feels different. What is the field that you think this guy brings? Because we talk about Luke Fox, I think mentioned it. A few other reporters mentioned it in The Athletic about whenever they talked to players that played under Berube, they all said they would run through a wall for him. Mm-hmm. What is it about this guy? What is it about this guy?
I assume it's the expectations he has on players and the way he's communicating them. Because if you're communicating that you hold this person, ex-Leaf, to a certain expectation, and you are open throughout that whole process about whether he achieved the goals, whether what he's doing is right or not, and you're a guy who comes in there as the new guy, and you know that it's not, if you're the player, you know that the next head coach isn't going to be out the door before you. Like, if something goes wrong here, it's now on you. So there's that also certain respect that comes with Berube. Being a midseason replacement too in St. Louis helps that as well, because you got rid of the head coach. It was Mikey Yeo at the time. And then you know the next is on the players. It's always on the players now when Berube's stepping in. So you're getting that, hey, it's on you. You're going to listen. And if you don't hit what you're supposed to do here, it's on you and you're going to be done.
Do you remember what happened very shortly before Craig Berube was named the head coach of the Blues?
What happened?
There was a clip, and I remember this. I was at Sportsnet, and we were just talking about how shitty the Blues are, because they were. Mike Yeo was their head coach, and it was in practice, and it happened to be caught on camera. He either threw his stick into the stands or smashed it and broke it, and he just yelled and screamed at the guys, and it was kind of his like Hail Mary. You know, it was all he had left. I don't get the impression that's the kind of coach Craig Berube is at all. I think he came in and he's like, I'm not going to beg, I'm not going to plead, I'm not going to yell and scream. You're either going to play or you're not. And in Sheldon Keefe's defense,
I want to just add to that. Sure. Mike Yeo also said, if these guys don't turn it around, I'm going to lose my job. That was also a quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did say that, yeah.
You know what? Good call.
Sorry, I just wanted to add to that.
I don't think he was wrong.
No,
True.
he got it.
He got
Nailed it. He nailed it.
That's so bad.
It is so bad. You should never say that out loud.
No, don't say the quiet part out loud.
You just moved your firing up by like 5 games.
Yeah.
At least.
Yep.
Anyway, you get paid either way. But in Sheldon Keefe's defense, accountability through the lineup is impossible with the way the team is built. Like, okay, we've all been picking on Marner, and to a lesser degree, Tavares. Forget it. Nylander and Matthews are playing like shit. Okay?
Oh.
Let's say they're playing like shit.
Uh-oh.
What do? Oh, I'm
Scratch him.
Yeah, scratching them. I'm going to cut your ice time.
Oh.
No, you're not. And replace. All right, Matthews isn't pulling his weight. So Tavares is going to get more ice, and so is Pontus Holmberg. Shut up. Nylander's not pulling his weight. So you're going to promote Kelly Yarncroke. Shut up. Like, this is part of the reason why they got to move off this core or reimagine this core, because you could never hold those guys accountable. It was either they would perform or they wouldn't. And if they performed, the team had a chance to win. Yep. And if they didn't, they would die.
The only thing there is that we've seen Sheldon Keefe hold some of the guys to a standard.
Nylander.
William Nylander, who he has consistently benched.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should be afraid to do the same thing to Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and Morgan Riley or John Tavares. If they are not performing, you must have the stones as the head coach to say, if this guy earns a benching and he's a third liner, you also earn a benching. And I would like to see that from Berube if it comes to that.
It helps to have the horses to do it. You know what I mean?
No, but like if it's game 40, I don't care if I'm running out Pontus Holmberg for 18 minutes.
I understand that.
I think like if you're a good head coach, you make that decision. You say in the end it'll all work itself back, and we're going to sacrificing these minutes to Pontus Holmberg, or just he's actually trying. He's going to earn these minutes.
It's endlessly frustrating that for at least 3 years, the Leafs knew what they needed to improve upon in the playoffs. The coaching staff told them. They got different personnel, and they still couldn't do it. Well, playoff style goals, you got to muck around in front of the net. Got to have a good power play.
Yeah, they haven't been able to score in years, and they've never fixed it.
Guys came, guys went. They could never do it.
Yeah. They said no more core 4. They want to de-emphasize the core is what they said last year. Ryan O'Reilly's like, maybe if they focus more on team, less on core 4. You can't. You can't. until such time as they move on from that. Now, Berube made a really good point that he's a team guy. It's not about the stars, right? It's not about the stars, it's about the whole team. The problem that he has, and the problem with what you guys are talking about, is in the past, and I wouldn't, like, Nylander, I think, has earned and deserved some of the benchings he's gotten, and it's made him a better player. Because he gets them so like it doesn't happen as much anymore because he's figured it out. And I think this year especially, he really established himself.
He's a star. It's just every so often he makes a mistake that is not just a mistake. It's like unforgivable.
Yes. Yeah. You shouldn't be making this at this point in your career.
Yeah.
The thing that the Leafs had was they didn't have the depth players. Frankie Corrado was talking about this on TSN the other day of the types of guys that play roles down the lineup that can support in a situation like that, that can earn those minutes, take those minutes away. You mentioned Pontus Holmberg, and that's great, or Bobby McMahon, or Nick Robertson, or whomever. But the reality is they didn't have a lot of those guys. No. And so I think now de-emphasizing the core means moving on from a piece. If I listen to the CJ show with Steve Dangle as host, the Mitch Marner thing seems like not a foregone conclusion, but that probably best for both sides to move on.
More likely than not.
And that provides a window of opportunity because not only do they have, I think that's $23 million going into free agency, a lot of holes to fill. But if they move on from that contract as well, ideally you're not taking salary back unless it's multiple players that you actually find useful, a la Alex Iafallo and Gabe Vilardi.
I don't think there's a single team that can just take on 11 mil. Like the Leafs are going to be taking.
I think there's plenty of teams that can take on 11 mil. I think there is, especially a guy like that.
How many of them would Mitch go to?
Well,
because he's driving the bus there.
Conversation for a different day. My point is, it might be easier for Berube to do what you guys are talking about if there's a little more balance.
100%.
Sure, yeah.
Like it's I'm gonna give Noah Gregor your minutes. No, you're not.
Yeah.
And if you do, we're going to lose. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but then that's on you. Like, I feel like, you didn't
That's still
perform.
on the star player.
I'm going to play Noah Gregor over you. And the reason he's on the ice and you're not is because you didn't perform.
Yeah, but it all comes back to we lose. Like,
yes,
okay.
and we lose because it's your fault.
Of you.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter who it's because of. They're still losing the games, and they're digging themselves into a deeper.
I think if it's game 37, there's lessons to be taught to these guys if they're not performing.
I think they go into every game with 2 points in mind. Like, remember we would talk about with Babcock, like, dude, like, you're going to scratch Levo every single game? Like, every single game? And it's because, in his heart of hearts, he's like, well, the lineup's healthy, and you're not one of our 12 best forwards in my eyes, so you're not getting in. Like, he wouldn't just throw him in to, like, see, keep him fresh or whatever. No, your job when you're not in the top 12 is to be ready. And it's not my job to keep you ready. That's your job.
Yeah, so if Austin Matthews showed up and wasn't ready and wasn't performing up to his abilities, I don't think you just keep playing him because of the name on the back of the jersey. Mm-hmm. I think you treat him like how you treated William Nylander, and you would throw him down in the lineup or reduce his minutes. And I don't hate what John Tortorella did in Philly with his captain. Like, I feel like if that's the wake-up call that the coach thinks that the player deserves, who cares what's on the front? Like, who cares if you have a C on your jersey? Like, if this is what we need to win this game tonight, and that's you not in the lineup, I don't care, and I'm doing it.
Well, and I think that that is going to be a really the difference. I think is going to be that he'll probably talk to the player.
Yes,
because Torts didn't do that.
Yes,
right.
I think Berube said as much in the press conference where he's like, "I communicate with my guys, and they know where they stand." I think Tortorella missed the boat on that one. I don't mind his hard-nosed style.
Let's talk about accountability because it's the word that keeps coming up. It's it's like truculence when Burke took over. Right? Everybody's talking about accountability. So accountability was big in the press conference. Alex Pietrangelo was on first up on TSN, and he said, anytime you have a team that's trying to get over the hump, you want someone to keep you accountable, and he's going to do that. Ooh. Now, I want to ask about just the Leafs, pre-Berube, whether or not he's able to keep them accountable. How unaccountable has this team been, would you say?
Pretty unaccountable. Every single year they have the same problem, and it costs them the season.
What does that have to do with accountability, though? Explain that.
They have a very clear mission. Hey, guys, improve on this, and then they very aggressively don't. Is that what you mean?
Well, I wondered if because here's the thing. If you want accountability in an organization, we just talked about yesterday how the Leafs PR staff have been shielding the players all season long. The fact that Riley and Marner were not coming out after Game 7 to talk.
You're stuck on this.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm extremely stuck on it because it's wrong.
I'm following you.
Lead, gentlemen. Lead.
I understand the point you're
Lead
making.
when it's hard. That's what leadership is. You don't just get to come out when you score a hat trick. If you wear an assistant captain, you're a leader all the time, especially when you lose. Mm-hmm. And so I would take a good hard look at who's an assistant captain next year, because I think that's crap. Get out there and talk. But the thing is, so Berube is going to bring accountability. This is an organization that's unaccountable. This is an organization that has consistently rewarded bad playoff performances with, we'll get them next year. Mm-hmm. This is our organization, and you talked about it in the CJ show, Steve, but we've talked about it here. Shanny's done a great job being accountable for the finances. The money coming into the Maple Leafs now is more than ever, and he's done a great job of that.
Oh,
the on ice product, though.
Do I get some?
They've protected players that really shouldn't have been protected, that should have been accountable. Mm-hmm. So the accountability factor for me, it freaks me out a little bit because Berube wants to bring accountability to the players. But if the rule from on high is protect them from the big scary media, the big scary, really like the media that's dying for you to win something. Yeah. Like the second the Leafs do well, I don't know if you know this, but Toronto media is very grateful for that.
I think the Leafs are going to try to make nice with the media. I do. Did you notice like the first thing Brad Treliving did?
Other than they didn't replace his microphone again.
Oh my God!
It's MLSE.
You can apologize by replacing the microphone.
MLSE, get the new microphone,
dude.
It's always Treliving's microphone too.
You work for a telecom.
Sorry.
He talked about. He apologized for the Berube announcement being on the Friday of a long weekend.
Okay, that's great. And listen, he's a funny guy. I like Treliving as a human being. He's funny. But like
he said, oh, it's just how it worked out. But a few of them were like, oh fuck. That's why, dude, underrated dick move. Like, okay, it's the Leafs. They name a new head coach. You have to cover it. It's a new head coach.
Absolutely.
Ron Wilson announcing he got a contract extension on Christmas morning.
Oh, that sucks.
It's such a dick move.
Now Ron would. I feel like Ron would have been the type of guy who would have really enjoyed that.
On Christmas morning, and Brian that wasn't part of the plan.
My point is,
all I'm saying is,
how can the head coach, who is 3 rungs down from the president, who is Keith Pelley, how can this head coach make this organization accountable when for the last 4 or 5 years they're becoming less and less accountable? The access to the players has been less and less. As I said to you yesterday, sometimes just standing in front of the reporters after a bad game, even if you say nothing, even if you John Tavares it, well, we learned a lesson, blah, blah, blah. The act of doing it there's an accountability in that. How can this one guy who really isn't at the top possibly change that?
Try telling Craig Berube what to do. Might tell you to go shit in your hat.
I hope at some point he said that. What do you think, Jess?
I think having the ability for the guys who have been there the whole time to have 7 straight years of a chance to run it back. And I think in every single one of those years, we all agree that they have not been successful in the goal, which is to ultimately win a Stanley Cup, and they haven't really been close. And for them to have that opportunity to try and then go out there and try again and then fail and then try again and then fail, to do that over and over, you tell them that the results don't matter. You tell them that
that's what
even though your result was unsatisfactory, we're going to give you another attempt. And when you don't live up to the goal and you don't reach the result, but then you keep getting to do that, you tell them, whether out front or just subconsciously, that the results don't matter. So I agree with you, Adam, that throughout this tenure, there has not been accountability on the players. And I think we finally reached the point that Dubas was at last year, that Dubas should have been at in 2020, where the results do matter and you're finally accountable. And that'll be, you don't get an opportunity again to run it back, some of you here, because this offseason we're going to move on and you don't get your shot again. Let's try something else.
To misquote his favorite book, the score does not always take care of itself. It doesn't. That was you guys got to read that book. There's so much about it.
What if I just watched Moneyball again?
No.
What if I just
Jonah
say,
Hill
hey,
is
Brad
great in
Pitt?
it. He's strong. He's very strong, and I like that he's eating popcorn and making trades. But no.
Same thing.
Score takes care of itself was misinterpreted by the Toronto Maple Leafs to don't worry, whatever you think is correct, and don't even question it.
Adam, I have a question.
And let me ask you this. Let's jump on this.
No, I have a question.
What's your question?
Is losing fun? Sorry.
Shady Rays. Steve's wearing them. And he's brought them to the show many, many times and left them in the car and not brought his Shady Rays on the air. But now we finally get them.
And I got them, and God, like I'm looking straight at our studio lights.
Those are dad sunglasses,
They're fine.
man. Those are dad glasses for sure. They look good.
Right?
Yeah. That's a man who's had 2 kids.
These are good lawn staring sunglasses. I'm going to stare at the lawn so hard.
If somebody's making too much noise on your outside of your house.
Here, let me just. Yeah, good furrowed brow glasses.
100%.
Can't really. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
No, it's giving big Dwayne the Rock Johnson vibe.
Really,
Yeah.
boys?
There
Really?
you go. Yeah.
Now listen, Shady Rays are an independent sunglass company, and there are not a lot of those left. That's important. If you look at who owns all the sunglass companies, it's like 2 companies. And Shady Rays are not one of them. They're independent. They offer
into that.
A world-class product. There's lots of complaints about it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let's
their
do
product
5
has been
minutes on
rated
that.
5 stars by 300,000 people, and their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics, and it makes them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Whatever your style, it's not just what Steve has here. There are hundreds of styles at shadyrays.com, and use that promo code SDP because when you buy 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses, you're going to get 50% off the total price. Again, shadyrays.com, use the code SDP for 50% off 2 or
50.
more pairs of polarized sunglasses. If you don't love what you got, you can return them 30 days risk-free. Here's what's fun. Speaking of one Kyle did was Philip Kral is now a Pittsburgh Penguin. So Steve,
Kyle Dubas loves his guys. Now,
can we please make a T-shirt?
we have to.
We have to make a T-shirt.
We have to.
And we got to do an event in Pittsburgh, and just everybody's got to wear that T-shirt.
I don't know if we could use his name. So
Yeah.
like maybe just a pair of thick frame glasses followed by
Loves his guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to not get sued here.
Do you
Yeah.
think he'd care? I don't think he'd care.
Maybe a little.
I'd donate $1 from each shirt. to his
From
charity
what
if I
you
wanted.
said about him, you might care.
No.
You might care.
Oh, what did I say?
All right, so how do I make the draft lottery about how Kyle Dubas failed?
Dude, he
Adam
blew
Wild
that.
starting a segment.
He blew that. No. Blew it. You blew it.
Who else?
You blew it. Oh, Pittsburgh's making a charge at the end, and now they don't get a first-round pick. If they just sucked, they would still have one.
So, Philip Kral, 24, had a really good season in Finland. Was the top, was it Finland? I think it was Finland. Top defensive scorer for his team. The Leafs let him walk last year. That was one of the first things Treliving did. I think that was, I don't know about a mistake, but I didn't love it. He played some NHL games. He showed some good things. He showed a little bit bad.
2
but
NHL games.
2 NHL games, but he was filling in. That was the season where the Leafs used like 13 guys. Like it was ridiculous. They had to use so many. There's no scenario where Philip Kral should have been playing NHL games, but everyone was hurt. And I thought he filled in okay, but Treliving just chose not to bring him back. He's big-ish. He's 24. He's depth. Like he's not going to make the team at a camp. I don't think. I don't hate it. Listen,
It's funny, though, right?
here's what it is. A super duper depth signing that's really, really funny.
It is.
And
if
I
Dennis
can't
Malgin
wait-
is at some point a Penguin, I'm going to laugh. Just throw him
Dennis
there.
Malgin?
Yeah.
I can't wait until Evgeny Malkin has Malgin on his right wing and Alexander Barabanov on his left.
I like that.
Can't wait.
I can't wait. Apparently, he's looking for a contract, Alexander Barabanov.
Well,
It's crazy.
let me tell you about a great place called Pennsylvania there, Alex. You are a Pittsburgh Penguin. Dubas didn't bring on enough of his guys last off.
Not yet.
No,
He's already got Bunting in there. He's got Kral in there. He's got Achari in there. There's guys.
This is going to be the summer of Loves' guys.
Absolutely. You're a Sioux Greyhound. You got a job.
Oh, fuck yeah. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Welcome, friggin', what's his name? Matt Murray.
Oh, yeah. Well, back to Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense.
Reunited?
I like that.
And it feels so mid.
Oh,
What?
wow.
What?
So, listen, we haven't had the chance to do a lot of a press conference lately just because of all the hockey news. So, shall we jump into the press conference? Or,
No.
Jesse, is there something you're looking up on Cap Friendly over there that you're like,
No, I was just looking at Pittsburgh's
You're looking at Pittsburgh.
cap friendly. Yeah.
How many former Leafs and former Greyhounds?
Not a lot of
Not enough.
Leafs. Yeah, not enough.
Not yet.
Like this offseason, he'll load up for sure.
I know that there's supposedly a verbal agreement in place for Keefe to join the New Jersey Devils, but I really would have put money on him joining the Penguins.
They have a head coach.
I know, but I don't think that the head coach or the team want that. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen.
Do you see that it's Sullivan and Cooper who are probably going to go 1-2 in the NHL's international, what is it called? Face-off?
Four Nation.
Four Nations
Cup or whatever?
Yeah, Four Nations Cup thing.
Oh, that's women's hockey.
Oh, okay. Four
Yeah.
Nations face off.
I think.
So it's going to be Mike Sullivan at 1 and John Cooper at the Olympics. That's probably how Team Canada is going to do it.
Why?
That's why I brought it up.
Those
That's
guys are great
the rumor.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Do you agree with those picks?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, one of them,
yeah.
John Cooper, and the other. I don't think Mike Sullivan sucks. By the way, like I know Penguins fans, it's very similar to the Keefe conversation, where like Keefe doesn't need to be bad for the Leafs to move on from him. I think Mike Sullivan's an incredible coach, but I don't know, it might be time to move on. He's been there forever, and I think the reason that the team has taken a step back is they're not as good.
Yep.
Look at them. They're old and busted, man.
Yeah.
And they have no one coming up. No, like signing Philip Kral automatically makes him one of the youngest people in the Penguins organization.
Yeah.
Like, dude, they're old.
Do you remember all those years where it was just like pencil in Mike Babcock as Team Canada head coach for like a decade and a half?
Spray paint.
Yeah, like write it in the sharpest Sharpie
Yes.
that he's going to be the head coach.
Yep.
That's like 2 decades worth of hockey. It was interesting that that's the guy they went with.
Who, Sullivan?
No, Babcock.
Oh,
yeah, all
Babcock.
those years. You know, and it's just nobody else ever got a chance because it's just Babcock. Everything he did in Detroit, man. You know, it's just Babcock.
That's true, and he hadn't won anything in a while, and it's like, Babs.
Babs. He's the guy. Team Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? Nick Lidstrom probably got Mike Babcock employed for Team Canada.
Well,
You know?
so this. Well, here you wanna do the press conference?
We should do the press conference right after this.
Do you want me to ask a question?
Well,
or-
no, I was
Let's
going to
finish
say
this
like
conversation.
one of
That's
the
what I'm saying.
key things that we talked about with the Leafs, I feel like it's an underrated story, and it's wild that there are like underrated stories with the Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
Berube had Pietrangelo. Like who was the best defenseman on Vegas last year? Shea Theodore. Or no, Jesus, they had
What?
Petro.
Petro?
As well. My bad. They had Petro as well.
I thought you meant besides Petro or something. I don't know.
No, so like let's look at all the past Cup winners, right? You have Petro, you have Cale Makar, you have Victor Hedman.
Are you doing the thing that I did to you like last week?
Did you already do this? I can't remember. Oh, you know what it was? You did that, and then I took it and used it on the CJ show, and now I'm recycling it again back here. The Leafs need an elite defenseman, is what I meant by
I remember
that.
I went through. I was like, "What was the last Stanley Cup winner we did on the show? What was the last Stanley Cup winner who didn't have like a top 12 defenseman?" We kind of landed on
Yeah.
John Carlson. We went through all the years.
Like, you can do it without an elite goalie, shockingly. You need elite defense, and the Leafs very don't have it. I mean, Morgan Riley's their best by probably a country mile. And then the next highest paid guy is Jake McCabe at $2 million. Like, it's,
Yeah.
they need to redistribute the wealth there.
There you go. Should we do the press conference?
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Sorry, one more thing. When was the last time a team won the Stanley Cup without an elite defense?
That's how I know it was good. Steve stole it and then recycled it back to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is mine.
Content loop.
All right. This first question, it comes from NR Hornets 21, PBiz 81. Do you think the Leafs will go after DeBrusk and Allmark?
DeBrusk makes a lot of sense. Is he an RFA or a UFA?
UFA.
Yeah, he's a UFA. Yeah, so that's why DeBrusk makes sense. You're trading for Allmark? No shot.
They don't have the assets.
Stop doing goalie trades with the Bruins. Stop.
I think LA really wants Allmark too. They almost had him, and then he didn't want to waive. And he's also said, I want to be back in Boston. So if they do want to move him, they have their work cut out for them.
I think Linus Ullmark's a really good goalie. I don't need to be a goalie scout to know that if the Leafs trade for him, he will turn into a pumpkin.
Yep.
That's it. That is how it is destined to work. Don't do it.
DeBrusk makes a lot of sense, but I think a lot of teams will like DeBrusk.
Yeah, he's a prick.
And he's good.
And I think it would be worth it to sign Jake DeBrusk just so you don't have to play against him anymore. Jesus.
So he can't eat you alive in the playoffs?
Stop.
That's true.
Stop. What is his points per game and what's his points per game against the Leafs? Enough, Uncle.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yep.
This one comes from Mateo, Minnesota Wild Talk on Twitter. Could you see a scenario? We're going to start this nice and early in the press conference because this is where a lot of the questions.
It's what everyone wants to know.
It's everybody wants to fake Marner trades. We'll do it. We'll talk about Marner here. Could you see a scenario where Marner blocks every trade possible and walks in free agency next year to spite Toronto after all the criticism he's faced?
No. I don't see that. It makes no sense. Marner is...
What kind of person do you think this guy is?
Yeah.
Do you think he's like a spiteful weasel? No.
Listen, I will...
Mitch Marner's a really good person, guys.
Weasel is an underrated word. Yeah. like weasel. That's a good word.
You got to have so much hate to pull something like that off successfully.
Oh, I know.
Like, are you kidding me? Come on. Guys, listen. Did it work with Mitch, and is it working with Mitch anymore? Probably not. Is it time to move on? Yes. But let's not turn this person into like some bad, evil
Darth Vader
in his basement or at his cottage this summer going, I can't wait to fuck over Leaf fans by playing for them.
I'm gonna fuck the organization so hard.
Here, let me say this into the camera.
Please go.
Okay?
Go.
He's 27. All right? You thought he was making a lot of money. Now, he's a year out from free agency, unrestricted free agency. If he has a great season, this season, on a team that he wants to be on and wants him, right? He's going to be able to, like, let's say he scores 90, 100 points again. He's going to sign for $12 million for 8 years. Something like that. Do the math. What the hell is that? I don't remember my 12 times tables. Who gives a shit? I don't need to know them, and neither does he, because he is a professional hockey player who is really good at putting up points and hockey. He's really good at that. So I'm gonna spite the team that has, at the end of the day, all the power. Like, he has all the power to block the deal. It's going to be real difficult for him if he doesn't play a hockey game till December. It's going to be real difficult for him if he's playing on the fourth line. It's going to be real difficult for him if he's not getting his cookies. He needs to perform. He needs to go somewhere where he's going to perform, and he could ride that for the rest of his life. I mean, he could ride the contract he's currently on for the rest of his life. But you know what's better than money? More money. And why? Like, for the purpose of what? Like, you're looking at this completely irrationally, I think. Like, could he do that? Yeah, if he was like a Bond villain. But even those guys like money. That's usually the plot of every movie, is they're trying to steal some diamond to power a nuclear weapon for some reason. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Next up, we'll do a choose your own adventure. We got 4 questions here. This is from Mitchell Thompson. Build a trade package from Nashville for Mitch Marner that you'd be comfortable accepting as a Leafs fan, or you can do. For Marner, should we be looking for a return similar to Matt Duchene?
No.
Or do you think we could get more? Or you could, that's from Jake Allen. Or you can do, Harley says, not a question, but can you come up with trades for Marner? Or you can do, from
Holy shit.
Sayer, what's coming back from Nashville in a hypothetical Marner trade? All of the questions are about Marner. Do you want to pick the Nashville specific trade, or do you want to do just your pie in the sky other NHL team Marner fake trade?
Well, there's 2 kinds of trades you can do, where money in, money out. Nashville is one of the teams that could potentially buy on the guy. Now, their cap situation's actually kind of fucked. Surprisingly, because of the Duchene buyout. Where is it? The appeal for the Preds is you could potentially have a line of Philip Forsberg on the left, Ryan O'Reilly in the middle, and Mitch Marner on the right. Holy shit. You put one of the best playmakers in the league with one of the best and most underrated goal scorers in the league, and you got Ryan O'Reilly, who's like, I'm going to do my Ryan O'Reilly thing.
Could they do Stamkos and Marner?
Yeah,
Of course they could.
absolutely they could.
Of course they could.
I don't know. Sounds kind of interesting to me.
Sure does.
Now, they would have to shave a little bit of cash. So the dead cap for these guys it's just awful. So Ryan Johansson is going to cost the Preds $4 million next year. Matthias Ekholm is going to cost them $250,000. Duchene is going to cost them $5.555 million. And Kyle Turris still on the cap. Woo!
That's a nightmare.
At $2 million. That is nightmarish. So who makes a lot of money on the Preds? Because I said they can buy. No, they can't. I don't think that works. An interesting name, potentially, is Luke Schenn.
They just gave up McDonough though.
They just gave up McDonough. That's why when people,
I don't think that's going to happen.
when people were like, "Oh, the McDonough trade makes it, potentially more likely," I don't.
I don't think it makes it more likely at all. I think it makes it less likely.
Yeah.
Because they got to go and replace McDonough.
The name I'll tell you that confuses me the most when people bring them up. I know I'm not giving an answer. I'm poking holes in answers, but in terms of money, UC Saros could make some sense. Makes $5 million, and then he's a UFA. So if you're the Leafs, you can't trade for him without an assurance that he signs an extension. That's number one. Number two, who the hell's your goalie?
Well, they want
Nashville.
they got that kid coming up.
Yaroslav Askarov?
Yeah.
I mean, he's 21.
There's somebody. Is there not somebody else too?
Yaroslav Askarov
not looking at the
was the
roster
first
right
round pick.
Yeah. Askarov is who you're thinking of.
Yeah, I think that they want. They want to. They have. Well, Saros has been mentioned before in trade talks, and I think they have the right time. This is the right time to potentially.
Because the idea is next season Saros is going to command a $9-10 million deal, and if you're Nashville and you don't want to pay it, you got to move off of him before he hits that UFA.
So, I don't know if they're a great partner.
Yeah, and listen, Kevin Lankinen had a not bad year too for them. He only played 24 games, but he's never posted much more below. There was one bad year in Chicago, but he's around a 9-10.
Well, it's like Laurent Brossoit, where he's an incredible backup goalie.
Yeah.
But playing 40 plus games matters.
It's a skill. It's a whole new skill.
And having a resume of it, and your body's just at a different place. And
so Nashville doesn't make sense to me, guys. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because you have a fantastic playmaking section there. Nashville's problem is goal scoring. That's why Stamkos or a guy like him makes the most sense for me. Forsberg is an unbelievable setup man. Ryan O'Reilly's an underrated playmaker, but their big finisher is Gus Nyquist.
They need a finisher.
They do. And
they
you
need finishers.
outside of Forsberg.
You need two of them. You need two. You need one on the first line, one on the second line.
It doesn't make sense to go get a playmaking winger.
Yeah. I'm not
So
seeing it.
here's
I'm
what
not
I'm seeing.
the fit.
Yeah.
If you're going to get Mitch Marner, you're one of two things. You're a team that is already very good and had a disappointing first round, or you're a team that thinks we're ready to make the jump. So there are two teams that instantly stick out to me. One of them is obvious because they're them and this is what they always do. But the Vegas Golden Knights
Oh my God.
just won a cup.
No way.
Just won a cup. And you got to be thinking, listen, what star have they not been in on? At least made a phone call. They were a draft pick away.
That is very fair.
From
That's
Erik
very
Karlsson.
fair.
So you know Vegas is calling.
That's very fair.
And is there an opportunity for Toronto to get, and again, you have to get somebody good back, like real good.
They've traded the,
Because they
basically
just
their whole
signed
future.
they just signed Noah Hanifin to that extension. So where does that put Shea Theodore?
That would be friggin' great.
Shea Theodore, who's a year older than Hanifin, who makes 5.2 for one more year. Again, where does that put, a guy like, is there a more of a depth thing where Toronto just grabs? Because remember, it's not going to just be money in, money out, right?
Well, there is
Toronto's goal here is to get some cap flexibility.
I want Nick
don't,
Hague.
You want
I want Nick Hague.
Nick Hague. I like that.
I want Shea Theodore or Braden McNabb. Like Shea Theodore's got to be a piece, and
You're
then,
gonna get like a D pair from Vegas,
and then
for
one
Marner?
of Nick Hague or McNabb.
You
That would be
need
crazy.
you need like a Theodore, and he's amazing, and I get it. But like you need something like that and some cap rate, because here's the thing: Toronto doesn't want to take anybody's dead cap anymore, unless they're moving some significant piece. Like the only was it Arpin and Mark Anton were talking about the fact that Tavares to the Canadians, if he would waive, might make sense because the Canadians desperately want to get out from under Carey Price's contract. And Toronto could afford the dead cap. But, no, sorry, that's not dead cap. That's LTIR. But Toronto actually would like to take a swing at, from what I'm hearing, actually being under the cap. And accruing deadline cap space.
This tap dance every year where they literally can't do business because they're so up against the cap is bullshit.
Yeah. It worked for when they had David Clarkson. And they had to.
Yeah, but the stuff with like Matthew Nyes and like having to ice university goalies and everyone's fine. And
That was Dubas's thing. Treliving didn't do that.
no, I know, but like, well, even this year, like they weren't able to rest guys at all. Like it was just.
I think that they ideally would not do that again.
I
So unless it's like a major move off of that.
would it be such a disaster to retain on Marner or Tavares?
Yes, it would be an absolute
for 1
disaster
year?
to retain on Marner.
For 1 year.
You do not retain on Marner. You are not retaining on a 99-point player
Yeah.
the year before. Not last year. He got injured this year.
Erik Karlsson.
You're not
was retained on.
Yeah,
He
but
ma- he
Erik
scored
Karlsson
100.
was 33. He had a busted.
I know the difference.
He can't even pivot.
I know the difference.
And he's still very good.
He's still very
No, you're not retaining on Mitch Marner. Absolutely not. The team is taking him. And by the way, the trade's going to happen July 2nd or July 3rd once the bonus is paid.
I mean, that definitely makes the most sense.
And so when people say, oh, the teams can't afford. Oh, no. I think that there's plenty of teams that can afford the cap hit if they don't have to pay it.
You could also go 10% over the cap, which the Leafs can go something like $8 million over the cap.
Here's another team that makes a whole ton of sense to me. If they could get some finish in there. Weirdly enough, the New York Islanders, I look at.
Wow.
And I think, here's the thing. The Islanders have enough playmakers. They need some goal scorers, but they need to overhaul their offense. Patrick Waugh is going to be very involved in that. He likes guys that can finish. If you have a lineup with Barzal and Marner in 1 and 2 in
It'd
the
be
lineup.
fun. It'd be fun to watch.
That's a Lou guy. Marner, Lou was there. I mean, I don't know if they're huge fans of each other because Lou stiffed him on his rookie bonuses.
Schedule B. Shut up.
But, that's one I look at. Do the Colorado Avalanche with, unfortunately what's happened with Mitchuation. Do they go, we don't have him for the start of next year?
That's very interesting.
Do you want to make a move? So I don't think it's going to be some team with a bunch of cap space. I think it's going to be a team that's like, we're really good and this is a core piece of an organization. And what I think is going to happen here is Mitch is going to go to an organization that has some tough guys built in, that has a culture, that has this, has that, and he's going to thrive in the playoffs. He's going to be spectacular. Wherever he goes, my belief is that Leaf fans are going to go, what the hell, where was that? And it's because when you look at the way the Leafs what they surrounded him with going up against those Boston teams and Columbus, Montreal was just, unfortunately, he and Matthews just didn't show up that series the way they needed to. I think there's going to be, if you have guys around them that make space, this is a guy that, Colorado to me makes a ton of sense.
Colorado is very interesting, Adam. Also a team that is sneakily in on everything, whether or not it works out. And when a good player is available, they typically go, hello, we would like them. Carolina.
Yeah, I can see that. Just can't see them wanting to pay his extension. And I think he's not going anywhere unless that extension is signed, and I don't blame him. Because to me, if you're Mitch, you will never have better... you will never, ever, ever have a better sense and a better way to negotiate your contract than right now. It's even better than free agency because when you trade for somebody who is a free agent or a pending free agent, so if you trade for somebody who's an RFA, the RFA has all the negotiation power. Why? Because you just traded for them. What are you going to do, not sign them?
How about Seattle?
Well, but think about Marner. So you're going to trade him with a year left on his deal. So you're going to give up real assets for Mitch Marner. If you're the acquiring team,
You have to have a good.
you just better pay him whatever he asks.
Yeah.
Because if you pay all that and lose him, and by the way, Mitch is going to fetch a lot of stuff.
I don't think it needs to be a contender.
I think it more than likely is a team that is we believe we're a piece away. And I don't think he's going to want to go to a team that isn't.
I don't think a team that is a piece away needs an $11 million player. You know what I mean? A team that is a piece away needs to tinker, right? Like this is seismic. Like you're going to have to trade off your roster more than likely for this. And if anyone's going to be able to pull that off, it's Vegas, like you said. But some teams just need a marquee guy. I think Seattle's one of those guys or one of those teams. They need a marquee guy.
Imagine him and Jared McCann just finishing the Leafs.
Oh my God.
Jared just getting 50 goals and yeah.
You know,
Here's what I think.
Columbus.
My archetype. No, Columbus is not. Not a
doesn't make-
chance. Nobody wants to go to Columbus. Never even if there's a free agent that went to Columbus, it's against their will.
I don't think
that
they're-
team is so poorly run. It's embarrassing and everybody knows it. The secret's out. Let me say this. Here's why I'm making this the Mitch Marner proposal. If we're going to do this, is I look at the Florida Panthers who won the President's Trophy and said, yes, we'll take Matthew Tkachuk.
Right.
We'll trade Huberdeau, who just had the best season of his life. We will trade him because we want Matthew Tkachuk. And I'm not saying Mitch Marner is Matthew Tkachuk. I'm just saying they're both extraordinarily valuable players. And look at what Florida's done with Matthew Tkachuk.
But Florida wasn't a piece away. That's a huge deal. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you could argue that they would. How could you argue against that? They just won the President's Trophy.
I think a piece away, the definition of that to me is we're almost there. We just need this one thing. Not we're going to trade a 115-point left winger and like our second defenseman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what Florida did, and they came out the other side.
Yeah, they won the
good
deal.
for them.
They did great.
Oh yeah, but like I just don't think that's one piece away. A lot of people have suggested Utah. I don't think that's totally stupid.
I think that's actually very intelligent. It's a question of what do they give back? Because there was Clayton Keller. I think if Utah gets Marner, they want to keep Keller.
I don't know enough about the politics, but Utah strikes me as a state with probably light taxes.
I don't know. I have no idea.
You know what I mean? Like you're also going to want to maximize your dollar.
I did love the Bleacher Report. Was it Hannah Stewart put together? And
Yes.
she had
Yes.
Kerfoot going back the other way for Marner.
Which was evil, and
I was
told
like,
her,
Hannah, come on.
evil.
For Marner?
No, as a part of a package. But it was just like, I think she was just trolling Leaf fans. And good for her.
All right, I've got a Vegas Golden Knights Toronto Maple Leafs trade to announce.
Let's go, Jesse.
Out from the Vegas Golden Knights, Shea Theodore, Keegan Colasar,
Oh my God.
Nick Hague, and a third-round draft pick in 2025. Going the other way from Toronto. Mitch Marner, 15% retained just to make the salary cap work, but we probably don't have to retain because it's the offseason. You can go above the salary cap. So we can pretend or not pretend with the 15% retained. SDA and a sixth-round pick.
So Simeon Durga-Chintsev, that would be his rights. He's in the KHL right now. Jesse, did you make this?
Yeah.
Why the third and the sixth?
Because draft picks are always like back and forth, and the Leafs need an upgraded. They need some picks for the future, so you throw that in. You kind of throwing SDA the other way, and you're upgrading that 6 to a third essentially with SDA going there. And you're getting Shea Theodore and Keegan Colasar and Nick Hague.
Shea Theodore would be like the best Leafs defenseman since I don't even know.
What do you think?
Brian
Who's
Leetch?
who's saying no? Who's
I
saying
think
no?
Vegas might, because Hague and Theodore is really tough to lose. Then you have to do a lot of work this summer to replace those two.
Bless Nick Hague. You can replace Nick Hague if you're Vegas.
Yeah,
He's friggin' huge.
I
You
think
just signed Hannafin. Like that's the point
Yeah.
of moving off of Shea Theodore and upgrading to Mitch Marner in your forward group. Eichel Marner.
that's interesting. The one thing I
So
want,
who says no?
and Hurdle.
What?
They just don't.
Oh, and
they have
Hurdle.
they just don't have a cap.
yeah, Hurdle.
So who says no?
I'm talking myself into it.
For which side?
The Leafs. I'm talking myself into it.
If you're the Leafs, you wouldn't do this right now?
I think I would want to do it. First off, anything, no retention for me.
Yeah, I just need to do it for the salary cap.
Listen, if Shea Theodore and nothing else comes back, I'm happy because the thing that's most valuable is cap space.
What?
The thing that's most valuable in any trade in the NHL is cap space. It's
Oh,
more
one
valuable than a
for
first.
one?
You got $6-7 million to spend somewhere else.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Here's what I hate: 5.2 for 1 year, and then he's a UFA, and he's probably going to make $1 billion. Shea Theodore.
Yeah, but isn't he the defenseman you've been looking for?
Fucking right, he is.
Like,
But-
isn't he the top of the line defenseman that the Leafs have been dying to get?
See, that strikes me as a one piece away deal for the Leafs, and they're not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But oh my God, what a piece!
I don't even know.
I'd like a little bit more future coming the Leafs' way in that deal.
Really?
Jesse,
And the Vegas Golden Knights would be like, "That's nice."
Here's what I hate about trade talk is it's either yep, I do it, which definitely means the team that you cheer for is fleecing the other team.
Yep.
And there's no, I wouldn't. That's fucking stupid. Which means probably fair. What I like to do
If
in
both
trade-
sides hate it, it's good.
what I like to do in trade discussions is I like to look at a trade and I go, how far away from being ready is this?
And do you agree that it's not too far?
I think it's a good framework.
Yeah, right?
I do.
So what moves are you making to make this more compatible with the way you see this unfolding?
So how many years does Colasar have and Hague have left? And also you need to know that friggin' Theodore is extending with you and how much. So Colasar is 3
1 year.
years left.
1 year.
Oh, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
William Karlsson's 3. Yeah. And then what did you need? Nick Hague?
Hague.
Hague is 1 year.
That sucks.
Is it possible to move out Nick Hague and get
Sure.
a centerman? Is there a centerman that Vegas possesses? Because the Leafs desperately need
They do have great center.
depth center, or somebody to, or if they want to get crazy, go get a true second line center and move Tavares down to the third line.
They got
Byron Fraze.
Eichel, Howden,
That would be
Carlson.
hilarious. Chandler Stevenson is up, by the way.
You're not moving off. Like maybe that's you just signed Chandler Stevenson.
Yeah, maybe you do that.
because they're not moving off of William Karlsson. Hurdle can play center. Hurdle's center. Eichel's there. Like I feel like you can't really take a center from Vegas.
I'd like a little more future in the deal
In who?
towards the Leafs.
Yeah, like what future from Vegas are you looking at?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't
Next.
think they have like the futures to give you.
I think that Toronto really wants the freedom, the cap flexibility. Because if you bring in a guy that's a $5 million guy, which Theodore is, and you're probably going to re-sign him, obviously, you're looking at, first off, he has to waive his limited no trade, whatever he has, and then you got to sign him. But you also have to look at this year and go, how much cap flexibility are we going to have? If they go from 23, if they have $6 million extra, that's almost $30 million the Toronto Maple Leafs could spend this summer.
Okay. So you see the difficult finagling.
So you can go get Alec Martinez, who is up for a nothing deal. You can bring back Klingberg on a 775, right? So you've got like depth pieces. Hope one of those works. It's a lottery ticket. Who cares? If you want Chandler Stevenson that badly, centerman, you pay a lot for.
Here's an easier one with less finagling involved.
All right.
Utah.
Okay, what do you get?
They have $43.2 million in cap space. And I don't think it's enough.
I thought you were going to say they had 43 draft picks because that wouldn't surprise me either.
Actually, like how far is that from being okay? They have their first, and that's it. In each of the next 3 drafts, they have 10 second-round picks in the next 3 drafts. They don't need all 10.
Would you take all 10?
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
Give
Just
me all
give me
your
picks
seconds.
32 through 64. Just give me all of them. So they have, you don't get an NHL team just to be like, all right, here's some dudes.
No, you need a big move.
You need a big move. That's a big move. Big move. The Leafs get a bunch of futures potentially in that deal.
What are the futures, though?
In draft picks. And you might go, well, how does that help them win? It helps them win because you can spend them however you want.
Do you get Josh Doan?
No.
No.
No. I was about to say
Maverick Lamoureux?
So when Hannah Stewart did this, she had Maverick Lamoureux, who's a huge defenseman, coming the other way. That's who, if I'm gauging my Brad Treliving meter, he's involved in the deal. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to make your team better now.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Utah doesn't help you do that.
We build it for 2030?
No. But what you can do, and I have a feeling whatever this deal is going to make no sense at all at the time.
Okay.
But they're going to quickly put the word out, hey, we got these picks to trade them.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like you're too obsessed with the futures thing.
Yeah.
I feel like Austin Matthews is only going to be Austin Matthews for like 6 more professional hockey seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why Shea Theodore makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at another team that went out in the first round. Who else went out in the first round that had a disappointing time that could potentially deal for this? Winnipeg. He's not waving to go to Winnipeg. He's not. So, let's just call it what it is. He's not. So,
L.A.
What else you got? L.A.
He's probably not going to California, though.
What?
I could see.
I
see
can
it.
absolutely see him.
The taxes are fucked, but I could probably see it.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I for sure can see that. Now,
you know who hangs out in California? Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton.
There you go.
Mich Marner, you are a San Jose Shark.
So no, I don't think about that, but I look at what LA has. Can you get them to part with a Jordan Spence?
Well,
with a Mikey Anderson.
The name everyone throws out there is Byfield, and I think the Kings would be insane to do that.
They're not, but Anze Kopitar did say, "I'm not here for a retool."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Byfield
is
about winning right now. Like, that's not a prospect anymore.
Yeah, he is. He's 21, and he's an RFA, and they need guys like that.
Get Trevor Moore in the deal and flip him to Pittsburgh for 5 firsts.
Can you get Anze Kopitar?
Fucking
hey,
no way.
You're not in it for a retool. So Anze, why don't you come on down to Toronto for the next couple of years? You can play center.
I think it's got to be a defenseman, right?
Or it's got to open up the possibility that they get a defenseman.
Is that Brett Pesce? Like, you're signing him for
Chris Tanev.
Like, that's not. I don't know if that's juicy enough.
They do need a guy. They need the flag in the earth. This is a top 10 defenseman in the league.
Cale Makar.
You bring up something incredible that I think we're all forgetting here. What do we keep saying with a Marner trade? It's happening July 2nd because of the bonus structure.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. A shitload of business happens at the draft, and a shitload of business happens July 1st. So what I think is going to end up happening is we're going to find out about a deal agreed upon in principle a week or two before it actually happens.
Yeah.
Because it's going to paralyze the Leafs and the team or teams involved in the deal otherwise.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, because like this has to be figured out like leading into draft time, because you can't be sitting there waiting, be like, I don't know about these assets. Because what do we always hear about with UFAs? Like we hear this from Alan all the time, is like, if you're not at the dance, like at 12:01 when July 1st hits, you miss out, because people want assurances on their cap, on their roster. So you need to get your deal done really fast, because if you're sitting there on July 3rd, you don't know who your dance partner is.
Maybe there's a team that says, you know what, I know you have a deal in place with Marner, but I'm willing to pay now.
Well,
there you go.
That is the interesting thing.
And then then all bets are off. And one team that I think we should look at, even though has tons of cash, and they are rebuilding it, and they never have ever come up in trade discussions at all.
Montreal.
Chicago.
Oh.
You have to look at Chicago with very likely, a young superstar coming in. Connor Bedard.
Because they're nowhere near competing.
They're nowhere near competing. However, Mitch, you're going to be the guy that sets Connor Bedard up for life. You've done it with Matthews. Now it's time to do it again.
Until you retire.
It's Steve. I am your phone. And I buzz on June 24th. And it says, Mitch Marner traded to Chicago.
MLH is happening. You should have never deleted it.
Paychecks in the mail. Saudi will be delivered by your helicopter.
Sorry, what did you say?
It says Mitch Marner to Chicago.
Yeah.
In exchange, Seth Jones plus. Is that the guy? Once you looked at your phone, are you going to be like, oh, yeah, let's go? Or are you going to be like, fuck?
I'm going to be like, fuck.
Why?
I mean, he'd be the best right-handed D the Leafs have had ever. Maybe. Like, dude, they just have such a void there.
Because if Chicago is the deal that they do, like, that's the piece that comes back, right? Because that's the big name defenseman you want.
Yeah.
So is that big name, is that good enough?
They're so early in the rebuild that, like, you want guys off the roster if you're the Leafs, and
I think
they just don't have much to offer.
Seth Jones doesn't get you all hot and bothered.
But what if the Leafs
Sure doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I don't. By the way,
Shea Theodore did.
People have been suggesting that, and I'm like, no.
No, because that's really the only way the Chicago deal makes sense.
Well, what if you just drop $11 million and you have $33 million to spend?
You
offseason?
can't communicate that to a fan base. I don't think you can't communicate that.
Well, doesn't this go back to Steve saying the deal won't make sense until it does? Until later?
I don't even know if you're Brad Treliving. How do you communicate that to yourself? Where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this for the potential to get good guys. You need an assurance that you're moving out this star player, that you have something coming back.
All right.
This is the way I'd look at it.
Now we're cooking with gas, all right? Chicago, less cap space than Utah, but still over $30 million. Lol. Their draft picks for the next 3 years. This year, their own first and Tampa's first. In the second round, their own second, LA second, Vancouver's second. Next year, their own first and a conditional, the Leafs first, followed by their own second and Dallas's second. In 2026, their own first, their own second, the Islanders second, and the Leafs second. So the thing with Utah is they only had their own firsts. Those extra firsts that Chicago has potentially move the needle in terms of if the Leafs get them, they can flip them for something else. Because Chicago doesn't have anything that gets me excited.
What about Frank Nazar?
No.
Why would you do that if you're Chicago? Like, I've seen a few people suggest that. What was he picked? 7th overall, something like that?
That doesn't make sense
13th.
from their
13th?
perspective. It also doesn't make sense for the Leafs. Like, okay, you're doing that, and then okay, he's gonna be great in 3 years.
I think he's going to be real good. I think you know who Frank Nazar fits the window of? Chicago.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't make any sense.
And
for
Steve,
them.
are you doing these draft pick trades? That better be a 3-way deal on day of. It better be because you're not trading Mitch Marner for just picks and saying we'll figure it out later. That's not satisfactory.
No, I think you're right.
Enough.
You're right on that.
You need that deal to be completed with the other team to go get the assets at the same time.
It doesn't have to exactly be a 3-way deal, but it's like, okay, we get these picks to trade them.
No, but it does. Because like you can't trade Mitch Marner for a first round pick and just say maybe we'll get something good back. Like I would be incredibly disappointed. You're also setting yourself up for not getting that person back.
You need the defenseman too. You do need a defenseman at some point. Where and I don't think the problem is there's not like a free agent defenseman that you can get this year. So if you're
Brett
going to move that
Pesce's the
asset,
big name, right?
Well, and if you do, it's July 1st.
Yeah.
I'm the big fish. Like, what am I waiting for? Pay me. I think we are, through this conversation, grasping the difficulty that this trade is going to cause.
they have to. What they need to do, and this is what we didn't do, and that's okay, is that they have to decide what it is they want. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want this team to look like? Is it going to be defense by committee, or are we going to have that stud defenseman? If it is a stud defenseman, then you're looking at like a guy at the top of his game. It's like who are in their 20s in that range? You got Theodore, you got Sergachev, you got like who? There aren't many guys that are going to be amazing and at that level and fit the Matthews Nylander age gap, and that's what I'm talking about
You
here.
guys who are fast, win puck battles,
Big.
not
But
necessarily big. It helps. It's a plus.
Would
There's
would a trade to Philadelphia for Travis Konechny get you excited?
Travis Konechny and what 5 other assets?
Yeah.
I know, but him as a part of that deal.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Not Jamie Drysdale.
That's why, like, see, I feel like digitally, like online, you would suggest that, and people would just go, fucking stupid. And I like to do the improv style. Yes, and.
What else? Yeah.
Yes, and.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that's the meat of the dish. What are the sides? It better be premium sides. I'm not throwing in any sides. You might get a garden salad out of me, but no.
Maybe a fresh cup of water.
A fresh cup of water. I need the garlic mash.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
most expensive bottle of wine.
All right, you brought up the Kraken. Let's go the Kraken.
Let's go Kraken.
If you did the Steve Dangle draft picks trade for Mitch Marner on July 1st, but then immediately signed, let's say Carolina walks them both to free agency, Brady Shea and Brett Pesce.
I'm down.
Interesting. And then you get the draft picks.
Exactly.
And get Tanev too while you're at it.
Yeah, like it'd be
Like, why
great.
stop there?
Yeah, it'd be great
Right.
to get the stud defenseman. I think what it is who the hell is giving that up?
I would do Brandon Montour over Tanev.
Would you?
Like, what if it's Montour, Pesce, and Shea all on July 1st? Mitch Marner's traded for just the cap space.
Okay.
This is very
Jesse,
NHL 24, and I love it.
I have a vivid imagination.
Here for it.
No chance they get
Why not?
3.
Why not?
No chance they get 2 of them. Let alone all 3.
Shea, we just steal them from Carolina. They walk to free agency.
yeah.
Shea and Pesce.
You definitely want players Carolina doesn't.
Oh, well, the cap. You know, everybody. You can't keep everybody.
No, the Kane.
The Kane.
What if?
Because
All right. Here I'm doing Seattle. You ready? Okay. What if Adam Larson, 1 year left, $4 million, has been very good since he got there.
I'm listening, but I'm
Okay.
unenthused.
Okay. And Jared McCann signed for 3 more years at $5 million. He's 27.
That's a framework.
And then maybe a pick.
Adam's always like, "Hey, here's some things that aren't worth it for me."
I think Jared McCann at $5 million.
No, there's
for 3 more years.
There's
that
a
guy's
center.
There's a center.
There's a center. It's 2 things that they could really use in a Marner deal: a center and a right-handed defenseman.
Is that Adam Larson's not the guy though?
He's not the guy, but he's very good.
The trade lacks sex appeal. I'll give you that.
But McCann, in the last 3 years, 27 goals, 40 goals, 29 goals. So if you can get a second-line center who scores 30 goals, there's one of your things that you don't have to worry about anymore.
That's nice.
Move Tavares down to the third line, McCann second, Matthews first. You bring in
Or
a
Tavares
top
to the
4 guy in Adam Larson. And in Toronto, let's be honest, he'd be top 2 until such time. Top 1 until such time as they were able to add to that. And I don't think re-signing Adam Larson is going to be that expensive for them if they want to keep him, if it works. But then you could go get, as Jesse said, Brady Shea and Brett Pesce and everybody else. Sign them all.
I don't know. If
Why
can also
not?
do all that.
Why not? Go spend $10 million on it. Why not?
You also got to convince those people to join your team.
I think they could do
And
that.
stay in Toronto.
I think they could do that.
And also, which one of them is playing on the third
Listen,
pair?
Steve,
You're getting all
imagine,
of
them. Steve, you're a free agent. You're coming out of Carolina. And the general manager is talking to you and say, not only can I give you this 8-year contract at the money that you want, but I can give you free appetizers at any Boston Pizza in Canada for the rest of your life.
Wow.
That's tampering.
You just said you can.
It's delicious.
You just said you can. It's possible.
I also want Shane Wright coming back in a Seattle team.
You want Shane Wright?
Yeah. Throw in.
I
Shane
don't
Wright.
know.
Just throw him in. Just throw him in.
Throw him in.
Yep.
The 4th overall pick is not a throw in.
Throw him in.
Throw him in
I'm
tough.
not using him anyways.
Kick him.
You got him down in the AHL. You got him in the OHL. Just give it to me. Throw it in. That's how you win deals.
Yeah, shut up.
You go to the dumb GM.
Go win a digital cup. Go win a digital cup.
I will
Yeah,
try
Jesse,
tonight. I will
you know
try
what?
tonight on the
Jesse,
SDPN YouTube
let's see
channel.
a Mitch Marner trade tonight.
That's
Yeah.
it was 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah,
I'll
another
try it.
episode of None since 67.
Hey, guess what?
Let's go.
I'm trying to do it with Mitch. I believe in the core.
Listen, I know that they'll never
No,
do
I
this.
traded JT like years ago, but still.
I know that they'll never do this, but the two things that I can't believe St. Louis gave up were Pietrangelo in free agency over what they have, and Vince Dunn
Yeah.
in expansion. I know Seattle would never do this, but Vince Dunn would be the guy.
Who did they protect over Vince Dunn?
I think they had. Who did they? Okay, St. Louis. I'd have to look into it, but they decided to go defense by committee because they signed the guy from Boston. And why can I not think of his name? And then they have like Marco Scandella and stuff like that.
Wait,
like they
who did they get for-
Torrey
Torrey Krug.
And then they got Justin Falk from Carolina.
And gave him a lot of money.
A lot of money. And I feel like they would have been smarter to just keep Pietrangelo and then move off of, because they got Nick Leddy as well, but you could have moved off of, I don't know, you didn't have to do the Justin Falk deal, you didn't have to do the Torrey Krug deal, one of those two, and then you keep Vince Dunn, even though he'd had some troubles. I know that there was some issues there where like he wasn't getting in the lineup.
He wasn't getting in the lineup.
Yeah.
He was pissed.
Yeah.
Here's a very important question. And you got to ask CJ this.
McDavid
on
for
the,
Marner.
On the show that you're hosting with him.
True.
For sure.
Okay.
Guaranteed. The bonus to Mitch. What time, and I'm being serious, what time is it due to be paid? July 1st. And when does the cap clock turn over to the next day? Because if I'm not mistaken, and I might be, it's 5 o'clock.
PM?
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, I might be.
So we could, on our free agency show, get a Mitch Marner trade.
That's what I'm saying, Brooksy. What I'm saying is you could potentially do a trade that night
You know what I think?
while participating in free
That's
agency.
stupid. It should be
Steve,
1201.
You already, I think you already outsmarted yourself in this theory because the way it's going to work is they'll have this planned a couple days ahead of time. And if a Mitch Marner trade is planned, it will leak and we'll know about it. So if that trade that's going to happen on July 1st happens as soon as the salary cap turns over, we're going to know about it a couple days before.
And if we hear nothing, we'll know it's to the Islanders.
There you go.
Good point.
There it is.
We didn't even do an Islanders mock trade, but we don't need to.
No, nor would we dare.
All right, this question. Everybody, we did the segment you wanted to be done.
Yes.
Yeah, like I know we didn't answer an abundance of questions, and yet we did.
Yeah.
because
Yeah, no, that-
30 of them were about Marner.
Literally, that was the majority of it.
I
so
can't
there
wait
you
to
go.
get criticized for it too. I'm thrilled. I love a mock
Okay.
trade.
Okay.
No, that's the gig.
like,
That's
what are you
the
talking
gig.
about?
Like, especially when it comes to trades.
yeah.
Like, oh, Steve, you're fucking.
You guys are idiots.
I know.
Yeah. Obviously.
Fair enough.
All
You're
right.
not telling me anything I don't know. Like,
All right, we're gonna sign Draisaitl in free agency as well.
let's go.
Next season. Where this is from Matthew Pittman. Where do you guys think UFA Jonathan Marchessault will end up this summer?
Vegas 8 times $3 million.
Yeah, I would be so sad if he wasn't a Golden Knight. It would just be wrong. I love this player.
Florida.
Back to Florida?
Florida.
And he actually would fit in quite well there. I don't know what I haven't looked up his point totals, but man, that guy's a playoff guy. That is,
Yeah.
listen, just like I'll say that if Connor McDavid is in fact a free agent in 2 summers and the Toronto Maple Leafs have not opened up cap space and make a pitch for him, I would be pissed. Marchessault's a guy where I look at that and I'm like, dude, in his career playoffs, 76 points in 102 games. He had 69. I think somebody's going to pay too much for this guy. He had 42 goals this year.
No, he's extremely good. That's
So-
why. Like,
Does he make sense in like a place like Nashville?
I was thinking about Nashville. Their cap situation's very odd.
Weird. Yeah. Does Tampa make sense? Wouldn't you hate it?
No.
Tampa's going to make some guys. Tampa's making some crazy moves this summer. They're my team to watch because they are not happy with where they are. They already brought McDonough back. It's either going to go Brandon Saad, Chicago Blackhawks second go around, or it's going to be the resurgence of the Lightning, and they're going to be a pain in the ass again.
I imagine he wants to stay in Vegas. Dude, they're close.
Yeah.
They're close. I know they lost in the first round, but it was to Dallas. And like Mark Stone, like what he said about how they treated the regular season, like he's right. And how do you not look at the last couple of years of Vegas Golden Knights hockey and go, we could absolutely win the Stanley Cup in 2025 if you're Marchessault. I know this is it's really going to come down to philosophy there, because if he wants to maximize his dollars, it won't be in Vegas. He'll have to go somewhere else, and he'll probably have to go somewhere that's not all that close to winning.
What about Utah?
That would fit the description.
Not too far.
Nah, you mean like distance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can still live in Vegas.
They're far from winning.
Yeah.
Maybe they get a little magic playing in a building. But if you're Marchessault, there's got to be an appeal to playing one more year at least in Vegas. Like, I wonder if you sign some sort of write-off into the sunset contract with them.
Kind of like Alec Martinez did. His deal's up, but
He could have gone somewhere else and got more.
yep.
And he's like, nah, I'm going to win a cup. And then he did. Or no, it was after he won the cup.
Yep. Yeah, it was last year.
I think being a Vegas Golden Knight rules. I think it's awesome. And, you could fuck with happy, or you could
Just be
stay where
happy.
you're happy. You don't have to uproot your family. You can contend for a Stanley Cup. There's a lot of appeal there, man.
Dude, the guy scored 42 goals while averaging 17.53 a night in ice time. Oh man,
He was incredible.
So that's pretty sweet because you guys you're just chilling and scoring a bunch of goals. Like, Jack, you take all the hard stuff. I'm gonna just score goals back here.
Just
Mark Stone, this is all you.
listen, you're going to be a rich millionaire no matter what.
Yeah.
Be a happy, winning, rich millionaire.
Next question,
It's
Jess.
good
Sorry.
for Florida that everything kind of worked out for them in the end based on where their team is right now. But there was a long time, well, not the short time there where their moves in the expansion draft were just disaster.
Oh, my God.
Bad.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
no bueno.
No. Next one's just a shout out, not a question, to Sinead. I believe that's how you pronounce your name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sinead. Yeah. Waiting for our flight home. This makes it better. Steve Dangle, Adam Wild, Jesse Blake. Sinead's in the airport playing Animal Crossing, waiting for a flight home to, I believe, Melbourne, somewhere in Sydney, or somewhere in Australia, playing Animal Crossing while watching us on a tablet in the airport.
That's cool. I like
Love
to play
that.
video games while having a podcast on in the background too. I do that all the
That
time.
is the
Or like
elite
sports.
way to consume podcasts
Yep.
while doing playing like a good chill run.
Please record yourself saying Mojo Jojo.
Stop it.
What?
Do we have another question?
Mark Jar Jar Jar.
What is
Sorry, I saw a TikTok about that today. They're like, hey, Australians, how do you say Mojo Jojo? Is it Mar Jar Jar Jar? And it was just an Australian crying going, yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
This next question comes from Jimmy C. What is more boring / undesirable activity than watching the Jays right now?
Hockey Twitter on a day where there's no games.
Yeah, who was that Dallas defenseman that everybody got into an argument about like 4 or 5 years ago?
Oh,
He was like
isn't it hilarious? But I don't remember.
He's like a tweener, and people just fucking lost their minds. for this guy.
Oh my God,
Like
I don't
2018.
remember his name.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking
I think the Jays are about as exciting as a math test. The thing about
Some people like math.
some people like math. So for me, who doesn't?
That makes you a narc.
I feel.
Steve,
yeah,
did you mean nerd? No.
I feel like the
You're
Jays.
a police informant.
The Jays are joyless. Like even when they win, it sucks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, if they win, that means we're just hiding the problem until tomorrow when the same problem will come up, which is this team isn't built well. It's very clear ownership is. I mean, I read yesterday, wasn't there an article saying that the guy they would listen to trades on Bichette and Guerrero Jr. And you're like, this team should have been spectacular, and all they had to do was they were a couple moves away, and they just were like, nah, you know what? And I feel like it comes down to ownership. I don't think ownership wants to spend money right now.
I couldn't, as someone who is already right at 9.9 in terms of stress from an 82-game NHL season, I physically couldn't handle living and dying by a 162-game baseball schedule. That might be why it's so not pleasurable for you.
The thing is, you don't live and die by every game because you look at the games at weeks or days at a time, series at a time. It's not every single day you're living and dying. And I think most baseball fans kind of watch it that way. But once you get to the point where you kind of know what it is and you run out of like, hey, let's see how it is next day, then it's just like make the change, and you're over the day-to-day of the baseball grind.
Yeah, Ross Atkins just has always driven me nuts with the way he talks. And I'm sure he's a really nice guy. And I've interviewed Mark Shapiro, really nice guy. But at what point do you guys just say, listen, we're handcuffed? Because I don't think that those guys are really to blame here. I think it's ownership saying it's Ohtani or you're not spending a dime. And that's what happened. Justin Turner is and I like Justin Turner, but Justin Turner is your big get.
Yeah, that's your silver medal.
IKF is your big get. Get out of here, guys.
I think it is worth mentioning that there is some recency bias in this question because it's like you forgot the Toronto Raptors existed. Holy
at
shit.
least they're bad on purpose.
Yeah,
I would
fair.
argue that
Damn,
the
fair.
Jays they're supposed to be good, but they're bad is worse than the Raptors who what was it, 13-game losing streak, and then they won
15, I think.
and then they won one game, and then they lost like 9 in a row.
They lost to the Pistons.
It was fucking awful Raptors season, but at least they're supposed to be bad.
Yep.
The Jays are supposed to be good, and every time they go out there, they like last night where they got shut out by the White Sox, and the White Sox are the only team in Major League Baseball who scores less runs than the Blue Jays.
Oh,
And
for God's
they got shut
sake.
out, and then John Schneider goes up to the podium and he's like, you know what? That kid on the mound there, he's had 3 good starts in a row. He throws triple digits. He's 100 on the gun.
It's May.
We got beat by a good pitcher, and everybody's sick of it at this point because every day can't be the day you get beat by a good pitcher.
Yes.
It's eventually on the guys
got
who are running
goalied.
out there that are bad at hitting the baseball. And I think
Had it hitting the base.
like with ownership, they do spend. It's just like the spending hasn't been it like they're not going to keep spending to just dig their hole even bigger. Try
But they're
and get
like
out
2
of the
hitters
hole.
away.
They didn't make the adjustment. The adjustment should have been moving off some guys in the offseason, bringing in new money, but there was no movement on that. It was, like you said, it was kind of Ohtani, and then we just kind of sat and waited. And Justin Turner was a great revelation early on in the season, though. But
Yeah, and he's had the flu lately or something.
yeah,
But,
but, like the guys you need to step up are there.
John Morosi. This is a great tweet. The Blue Jays have 0 home runs from the cleanup spot this year. 4 spot, no home runs. According to the MLB Network research team, this is the longest cleanup HR drought to begin an MLB season since the 1997 Astros, who went 60 games. The 47-game drought from the cleanup spot is the longest in franchise history, with any season surpassing a 46-game stretch from June to July in 1989. It's brutal.
I think we should all get to beat up the Blue Jays.
They can't hit.
They can't hit.
They can't hit, and they won't address the issue because
No.
they've handcuffed themselves into not being able to. Like, you can't address it by moving Bo Bichette right now or Vladdy or anything like that. But something's got to give.
I like paying attention to like the vibes of every fan base, and Leafs fans seem, I don't know, Like there's a lot of excitement going on and some optimism, some pessimism, a lot of realism. Raptors fans are very, yep, we're in a rebuild. Damn.
We'll tune in 2 years.
Tune in 2 years. Damn, sucks.
Yeah.
Whatever. Trust Masai. Meh. Jays fans for several years now have been like, you're fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there are pieces here, but you're dumb. And now it's not even the first part.
Yeah, exactly. Next question, Jesse.
You don't sell us, hey, we're building a playoff team. We got a playoff team. It's going to contend for a World Series and all this stuff. And then you jack ticket prices and the product you put on the field is not good enough.
It's crazy.
It's unacceptable. Like, you're trying to pay for all your renovations that you made to Rogers Center. I get with higher ticket prices and all that stuff. But if the team's not good, there's no reason for fans to support it. Like, you need to fix that stuff. Anyways, last two questions but last one question. Two people asked us, what is your take on the disallowed OT goal in the Stars-Avs game? This one was from Chrissy.
I would need to see it again. From what I remember, I thought it was very soft.
I thought it was soft too. It should have been a goal, but the right team won.
Yeah, I think that's why it wasn't that big of a deal, because in the end, it was the Avs lost and Dallas won. It was the Matt Duchene goal. I'll bring it up. And Noctuel, who also asked the same question.
Well, Duchene got did Duchene score both goals? Because he got the one that counted.
Yes.
But then there was Mason Marchment. I know he was in front and they called it goalie interference or something. I thought it was really soft.
Let me just let me show you.
And we can't show you. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah, this is the one. So yeah, Matt Duchene's in front. I shouldn't say it's Matt Duchene goal. It's Matt Duchene, goalie interference on Georgiev. So Matt Duchene's in front of Georgiev. It's Makar, I believe, who comes right in front of him, hits him into the goaltender.
And Georgiev's got a foot out of the crease, too.
And Georgiev's right there in the blue paint.
What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Yeah. And then the puck goes in the back.
Man,
of the net.
really?
That's soft as hell.
Yeah, they called it goal. They called the goaltender interference on the ice. And there was no conclusive evidence, quote, to overturn it. So
that's such crap.
So the call was no goal on the boo.
Yeah,
that's crap.
It should have been a goal.
Goals conclude. And this is, again, we come down to the end of the year. We said we had this conversation last year. The NHL needs to define what it is and then tell us. But they won't do that because they don't want to be held to account on anything. And that is the kind of stuff where, it goes back to, like, I'm old enough to remember the 1999 finals where Brett Hull, after every foot increase goal that year had been disallowed, Brett Hull scores one in the crease. Oh no, the streamers already came down. We couldn't review the goal now. The Buffalo Sabres fans, rightfully so, should be salty about that, but are not. They're like,
what?
Well, they're not. They don't bring it up all the time like we bring up the '93 fucking conference finals with Gretzky and the high stick.
Oh, they bring it up at least as often.
You
need to talk to more Sabres.
They were robbed. They were robbed. Absolutely robbed of that game. Did Dallas deserve to win the series? That's for you to decide. But they were robbed on that game. It's a bullshit call. And the NHL has never, here we are 25 years later, 2024, it's literally 25 years. Dallas could win the cup again this year.
First one.
We do not have conclusive whatever on this. It's bullshit. It's crazy.
NFL this preseason is testing a new system where, you know how they have a chain gang, Steve? You're not very familiar with football, but like, the basics of it. You know how they measure, like, hey, 10 yards, like we'll come out and we'll put the ball down and then we'll see, like, hey, did they make the line to gain? You roll out the chain gang and they put the sticks down and the football's there and it's like, oh, is it past the sticks? They're testing out in preseason digital versions of that. So the ball is going to be able to be tracked with the line to gain. You know how you see the yellow line on television, but this is going to be more official to where it actually is. And it's going to be able to know, hey, yes, you did get a first down, or no, you didn't get a first down based on the chip in the ball technology. And if it goes well in the preseason, it's going to be implemented this NFL season. Not, hey, we need another competition committee to meet in the summer and then maybe in a couple of years we'll get this all decided. No, it'll be implemented right away. And if the NFL can do this, why can't we get a fucking chip in the puck to figure these things out? We do
have chips in the puck, Jesse.
And we do have chips
currently
that are It's done by cameras. I know right now with the NFL, we talked about this many times. The little dots on the puck where they're tracking everything. I'm just like, the technology's there. The goaltender interference is a subjective one, but there's more ways we can define it so it's not as subjective. And the little things like offsides and the puck crossing over the line, we can do all that with technology now. If these other sports are,
You don't need these people on the ice making bad calls.
Is there
don't.
any room for? Because I understand why that goal was called back. You could definitely argue.
No.
Here, let me get that.
Right.
You could argue Duchene initiated contact with Georgiev.
Sure.
Is there any argument that you should be able to negate the call when Makar clobbers him into his own goaltender and spins him sideways?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The initial contact is not why that was a goal. It was what happened after it. And you could say, nope, he initiated contact. Nope, too bad.
A goal is a goal, yeah.
I just think there needs to be some common sense here. Like there was one that counted recently. I can't remember which. It counted because the goalie got clobbered, but they're like, he had enough time to reset. But I remember there was a regular season goal, Leafs Kings in Toronto. Quick got hit, and he just gave up. Like one of the most tantrum-prone goalies of his generation just went, nope, not playing hockey anymore, and didn't even make an attempt to make a save. And I feel like no matter what happened to you, if you don't even try, then it's a good goal. I don't give a shit. I don't care if he shanked you in the neck with his stick. You didn't even try. What are you doing? Do your job.
Yeah. They probably told him that.
No, they said no goal.
Yeah, but they probably were like, we can't let this happen.
I don't think anyone's ever told Jonathan Quick anything.
That's nothing that he would listen to anyway.
No.
I think, yeah, long story short, that should have been a goal, but the right team won and the NHL got off.
Matty, if you
real
want
lucky.
to pull up this image, the argument is like Duchene's in his space, Georgiev's space there, and then Makar pushes him and things get worse. But I don't know. Like
Makar's in his space.
You should be able to screen goaltenders. Like let's not just have everybody 2 feet away from the goalie. And Makar's the one who pushes him and initiates the ultimate contact that leads to the goal. Like, let's get it right here, NHL.
Yep, I agree. I
think
it's a pushy sport.
The lucky thing. Well, Adam makes a great point of the axe murderer, deaths that happened every single playoff. Like your head's still sort of attached. Maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but we're gonna make it up. Versus
Don't touch a goalie.
Casey DeSmith, people forget this, in the first round got absolutely crushed by, was it Evangelista or no, Michael McCarron.
It was Michael McCarron.
Michael McCarron just freaking laid him out. He got
fined.
Yeah, he got 2 minutes though. It was like, it was nothing. But it's like, but if you slightly engage Georgiev a little bit on a play that frankly, Duchene is in the right spot, Georgiev is in the right spot, and they're not they're rubbed up against each other. It's more like a school dance though. It's not like, we're not talking like
Casey and JoJo.
Yeah. It's a little bit like, a hug from behind.
Here, wait, Maddie. This is gonna require a little bit of work on your part, but here, watch this. Okay, see my finger? No goal. Or sorry, no, I fucked it up.
Oh, this is bad.
This is
goal.
bad. Goal.
bad.
Goal. Goal.
Where are you gonna poke me?
Goal. Oh, no goal. It's just so soft.
It's the soft.
It's ridiculous.
And you know what's funny is the people who are like, I love make hockey violent again, are not the ones being up. They should be the ones who are upset about this.
Where are you at? Where you at?
Watch an 80s goaltender and the shit they had to go through.
Sponsor the show.
Yeah, just saying. Anyway, let's wrap it up here. We got VIP to record next. That'll be fun.
We got to record another show?
Yeah. It's VIP, my friend.
Since when?
That's coming out tomorrow. By the way, you should sign up. Sign up
Yeah.
at the VIP.
That's a good idea.
You should. It's only
What do you
$59.
mean?
Well, we recorded the show.
What do you mean?
You
What do you mean?
stuck here.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.